Hi, welcome to FUNL for Humanity Rising, Inspiring Care to Action. My name is Leslie Powers. My presentation is called The Power of Music, Bridging Matter and Spirit. You can find all my material at my website, alivethrive.life. My father was a musician, and as a child, I was alert to every time he would sit down at the piano or organ. His music was a meaningful and memorable experience for me, and it connected me to him. It awakened my true soul expression, dance, and this became a clue to something I am still called to do for my deepest fulfillment. Recently, I felt a déjà vu with my son's jazz standards playlist, an interesting choice for my 23-year-old. I recognized the deep connection between music and memory as spirit. When my son played that music, it took me back in time, and I was back in my childhood home listening to that music and being deeply connected to my father. So this was part of the inspiration for this presentation today. We will explore the power of music. The 7 liberal arts are a path to truth discovery. It includes the trivium, which has grammar, logic, and rhetoric as its base, and then the quadrivium, which includes arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. I'll be quoting from the book Quadrivium, the 4 classical liberal arts of number, geometry, music, and cosmology. Quote, "The quadrivium arises out of the most revered of all subjects available to the human mind, number. The first of these disciplines we call arithmetic. The second is geometry, or the order of space, as number in space. The third is harmony, or music, which for Plato meant number in time. The fourth is astronomy, or number in space and time. All these studies offer a safe and reliable ladder to reach the simultaneous values of the true, the good, and the beautiful. This in turn leads to the essential harmonious value of wholeness." What is music? Quote, "Music is a mother's lullaby. It gives sound to our feelings when we have no voice, words when we are silent. In it we praise, love, hope, and remember. In the breath of the soul, the contours of the path of a hummingbird in flight, and the wind that carries it. Music shapes and shivers into endless colors, nuanced and diverse, and eternally creative. It is spirit taking form. Music is central to our humanness. Music is universal, a language that connects people. The history of music, dance, and sounding or toning and chanting is vast, from ancient cultures to the present. The ways that the components of music can be used and put together is practically infinite. There are so many genres of music, from rock to punk, disco, country, R&B, blues, jazz, classical, soul, Nordic, Celtic, reggae, New Age, Latin, acoustic, funk, folk, hip-hop, rap, and on and on. Music is part of our entertainment. It can involve performance and is central to pop culture. Music is central to community ritual and ceremony as well. It can be used for trance induction and energy enhancement. Music can be instrumental. It can involve a whole variety of musical instruments. There can be vocals. One can use toning or humming, harmonizing. One can sing a cappella, play in a band, be in an orchestra. It can be choreographed or freestyle, solo or in groups, with a partner, as part of a folk expression of a culture, and it can be ecstatic. Here is a short video with music, visuals, and spoken word that my friend Glenn Horton put together. This was part of the inspiration for this presentation. Without music, life would be a mistake. Nietzsche. Music is the mediator between the life of the senses and the life of the spirit. Beethoven. The highest goal of music is to connect one's soul to the divine nature. Pythagoras. Mystic Ray Creations. Presents Sound Epiphanies. Part 6, Secrets of Music. Music is the purest form of art. Therefore, true poets, they are seers, seek to express the universe in terms of music. Tagore. Music is the universal language of mankind. Longfellow. Music is the language of the spirit. It opens the secret of life, bringing peace and abolishing strife. Khalil Gibran. If I were not a physicist, I would probably be a musician. I often think in music. I live my daydreams in music. Albert Einstein. Do you know that our soul is composed of harmony? Leonardo da Vinci. Life is a symphony, and the action of every person in this life is the playing of his or her particular part in the music. Hazrat Khan. Music was my refuge. I could crawl into the space between the notes and curl my back to loneliness. Maya Angelou. Music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. Leonard Bernstein. Do you know what the music is saying? Come follow me and you will find the way. Rumi. If you learn music, you'll learn history, you'll learn mathematics, you'll learn most all there is to learn, says Edward Casey. If you wish to understand the universe, think of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. Rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul. Plato. Real music helps you to transcend your biology, your physiology, your psychology. Real music takes you to the world of the beyond. Osho. Music can minister to minds diseased, pluck from the memory of rooted sorrow, raise out the ridden troubles of the brain. And with its sweet, oblivious antidote, cleanse the full bosom of all perilous stuff that weighs upon the heart. William Shakespeare. Music composition entitled Initiation by Adam Plack and Johnny Soames. Video created by Glenn Horton for Mystic Ray Creations. And thanks to Sundari for help on the video. Thank you, Glenn, for sharing this video with me and allowing me to share it with all of you. Music, step 3 of the quadrivium, is a bridge between the material and the spiritual, due to its unique power to help us transcend the physical realm, evoke deep emotion, and connect us to each other and to the sacred, to the infinite. Music allows people to experience elevated states and transcendent interconnections through its synergistic, multidimensional, and expansive effects. Music essentially acts as a conduit between the physical body and the immaterial spirit through the play of frequency and vibration. Music is a form of expression that connects us to the stars through cosmic principles and illustrates the natural principles of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, gender, and cause and effect. Quote, "All science has its origin in magic, and in the ancient schools no magician was unschooled in the power of number." Music has emotional power. It helps us directly access our emotions, bypassing rational thought, which allows it to trigger feelings of awe, joy, peace, or sorrow, or anger, leading to heightened spiritual awareness and heightened self-awareness. It is a universal language that transcends cultural boundaries, allowing people from all different backgrounds to connect on a spiritual level through shared musical experiences. Harmony and order exist within music. The structure of music, with its melodies, rhythms, and harmonies, can reflect the order and beauty found in the universe, creating a sense of connection to something larger than oneself. Music is central to spiritual traditions around the world and throughout history. It is a key element of worship, meditation, and ritual. Hymns, chants, and devotional music in various faiths are used to connect with the divine and foster a sense of spiritual unity. Nature sounds are a music of their own. The sounds of nature, like a bird song or the blowing wind, can be perceived as a form of music that connects individuals to the natural world and inspires a sense of wonder. Music is integrally connected to sacred geometry, which charts the unfolding of number in time. Thus, like good music, the study and practice of geometry can facilitate the evolution of the soul. Essentially, music sound can be described much in the way language sound can, a combination of tones that vary overtone content with a noise component that initiates the sound, sometimes continues it, and occasionally also closes it, the function of consonants with an organizing rhythm and form. Music is comprised of sounds, space, and symbols in such a way that humans can interact with it in infinite ways while following shared basic principles that not only bridge matter with spirit, but closes the gap among people despite nationality, culture, or language. Joseph A. Kutarba says, "Through music, we continuously self ourselves into being. Through music, we are getting to know ourselves as well as we are creating ourselves." Rhythm is the component of music that punctuates time, carrying us from one beat to the next, and it subdivides into simple ratios just like pitch. The march and the waltz are thus nodes in the subdivision of rhythm, and the tensions created by polyrhythms and syncopation push and pull against the gravity of these nodes, just as individual musical notes do in a scale. All this happens through time, creating a framework of epigrams or poetic devices, disclosing their plight or journey, existing within a system of rules. Perceiving music as an unfolding of epigrams, molecules of meaning, unities of opposites, allows for a new appreciation of its narrative quality. Music tells stories. Degrees of contrast and repetition can be measured, and most importantly, variation and transformation can be understood as a kind of evolution. Like the stations of the scale and the pulse, epigrams also have gravity, and what happens in between them communicates part of the drama, of the intentionality of the transference, its story, its plight. and in the most skillful hands, our souls follow suit. These epigrams, melodic and rhythmic, can then be arranged into larger coherent structures, compositions, also unifying opposites, and so music is born. There are abstract and metaphysical concepts within music. Music is the art medium that communicates interiority, being only perceived by the ears and received by the mind. It is the hearts and minds of human beings that shape and weave melodies, harmonies, and rhythms together into meaningful tapestries. In music, we organize and fantasize, arranging the elements of music, melody, rhythm, and harmony into meaningful shapes and patterns. Its rhythms move our hands, feet, and bodies to the pulses of the universes. Its harmonies breathe with the exploratory intricacies and curiosities of the relationship and proportion, consonance, dissonance, assonance, and resonance. Its melodies flitter into flights of fancy, weaving woe and wonder. When music is married to language, then what is spoken becomes song, elevating the intentions and entreating us to listen more deeply, making the profane sacred. Music soothes the soul and the savage beast. And in both music and language, the components of epigrams are often synthesized or unified through paradox, an essential quality for having an aesthetic response and remembering the phrase. This is from the Quadrivium book. You can see here on the slide, and I highly recommend it. Music has been found to stimulate multiple areas of the brain, leading to improvements in memory, attention, and executive function. It can also enhance brain plasticity by promoting the formation of new neural connections. Music therapy has been linked to cognitive enhancement, aiding in language development, problem-solving skills, and emotional regulation. Music affects brain waves through tempo changes, through rhythms, through activating the limbic system, which is involved in learning, memory, and emotional responses. It activates the reward center, can stimulate pleasure. It can enhance low-frequency brain waves, which can diminish higher-order cognitive functions. It can increase theta and alpha power. And it can help consolidate memory, especially during sleep. Other effects of music on the brain include reducing stress and anxiety, improving cognitive performance, improving focus and concentration, improving spatial temporal learning, and stimulating neurogenesis, which is the brain's ability to produce neurons. Two important concepts related to music are resonance and dissonance. Resonance refers to a harmonious or agreeable vibration where two objects amplify each other's sound when their frequencies match. This comes from the Latin word to resound or sound out together. Resonance typically feels good. It helps to feel connected. Dissonance, on the other hand, describes a clashing or discordant sound created by incompatible frequencies, often perceived as unpleasant or jarring. Essentially, resonance is the opposite of dissonance, particularly in the context of music and sound. Dissonant intervals are often considered unstable and unpleasant, while consonant intervals are considered stable and pleasant. And surely our subjective experience is involved in how we experience music. Our emotions are activated and lead to how we interpret the sounds we hear. Dissonant music can convey negative emotions, providing an interpretive framework that serves to process the audiovisual experience. So again, music can bring all senses into activation. The profound impact of music on mind and emotion. Music and sound can be used consciously and therapeutically. It also affects us unconsciously as a state change tool or agent for relaxation, motivation, centeredness, anxiety reduction. Music is involved in rites of passage. Think of an average teenager who gets through their days through music. Music helps us celebrate life transitions. Music helps us to recapture ancestral memory through ritual and community experiences.
It's harder when you're trying to figure out how to love. But fucking this all up, 'cause we don't know how to love. Don't even know what it is we want. I don't know what we got, but I know what we had, and I hold it in my heart. Yeah, we don't know how to love. I never thought I'd give it up, but we don't know what we want.
It opens up new pathways in the brain, bringing present moment awareness, and activates an intuitive right brain state. It can deepen one's connection to self and others, open a gateway to spiritual expansion, emotional inspiration, and if you've ever taken a psychedelic, you might have noticed how music really enhances the experience. Music can catalyze learning. One can experience pleasure and entertainment, or fear, dread, disgust, and agitation. Music helps to integrate the memory through the emotional experience and activate or complement the healing of emotional trauma and physical healing as well. Music has a role, as I've said, in memory consolidation. Music can improve memory by activating multiple brain regions associated with memory and emotion. The interaction can create a strong connection that may improve overall brain health and function. Some ways that music can impact memory is through the use of arousing music that enhances the strength of our memory by increasing the emotional arousal. It can also bring relaxation and counter the highly aroused brain state, and also through that relaxation help consolidate the memory. We can encode memories with the details of a life event, making it an effective cue for remembering an event later. Music engages multiple brain regions, so memories are stored in many different places. And regular exposure to music may reduce the risk of cognitive decline and enhance cognitive abilities. Music affects our energy through motivation, arousal, endurance, follow-through, and action. Music is energy, sound energy that moves through substances in waves. As I've said, music is a tool that can help us access our ancestral memory. Here I quote from The Urban Shaman, a handbook for personal and planetary transformation based on the Hawaiian Way of the Adventurer by Serge Kahili King, PhD. He talks about one aspect of our consciousness which is called the ku, or memory. He says, the most important thing to know about memory is that it is stored in the body as a vibration or movement pattern. Genetic memory is, of course, stored at the cellular level, while experiential or learned memory is stored at one or more of the many muscular levels. Under the right stimulation, internal or external, mental or physical, the movement occurs and the memory is released. This then gives rise to mental, emotional, or physical behavior. If the moment is inhibited, say by tension or stress, then the related memory is inhibited too. This holds true for both genetic and learned memory. In the case of genetic memory, the body only knows what its ancestors knew. He says health is a state of peace and harmony, while sickness is a state of war and conflict. He adds, now music has its own magic. It has subliminal powers because it can stimulate thoughts, feelings, memories, and behavior without our conscious awareness. Think toe tapping, marching music. And it can enhance tremendously our appreciation of words and images. Think how dull some movies might be without the music. As a subject of meditative focus, it is one of the most powerful I can recommend if you use it properly. He says, music that will amplify or counterbalance any state you are in or wish to be in can be consciously chosen. There's a whole field of sound healing, which is not incorporated into our mainstream healthcare system. Originating from various cultural traditions, sound baths use instruments like crystal singing bowls, gongs, and chimes to produce immersive soundscapes. These sessions, typically led by skilled practitioners, aim to induce a state of deep relaxation and meditation. Think of the crystal singing bowls tuned to the 7 chakras. Chakras are energy centers. And here we see sound combined with color and light, smell and vision in all sensory experience. The sound Om is an ancient seed syllable in Sanskrit. It represents a threefold time division from wakefulness, dreaming, and deep sleep. It represents God, the source of universal consciousness. According to the Katha Upanishad, the goal which all Vedas declare, which all austerities aim at, and which humans desire when they live a conscious life, or a life of conscience, I will tell you briefly, is Om. This one syllable is indeed Brahman, the supreme being. This one syllable is the highest. Whosoever knows this one syllable obtains all that he desires. This is the best support. This is the highest support. Whosoever knows this support is adored in the world of Brahma. As per the Hindu mythology, Lord Brahma exclaimed, "I am one, but may I become many." This very thought started a vibration that settled in the form of the sound that is known as Om. The vibration created everything that we see in the universe. Om is the life force that creates and sustains life. The cause of the universe, the essence of life, self-knowledge, Atman and Brahman. And it turns out that chanting Om can deactivate the limbic center of the brain, which is responsible for emotion and threat. It stimulates the vagus nerve and activates rest and digest. As implied, music can tone the vagus nerve, even beyond the chanting of Om. Toning the vagus nerve, singing, humming, or chanting activate muscles in the back of the throat and vocal cords, which are connected to the vagus nerve. Stimulating the vagus nerve in such a way can lead to a potential calming effect and increased vagal tone associated with stress reduction and relaxation. The vagus nerve carries signals to your brain, heart, lungs, and digestive system. It's the longest cranial nerve in your body, running from your brain all the way to your large intestine. It plays a part in controlling involuntary sensory and motor functions like your heart rate, speech, mood, and it helps your body switch back and forth between your flight and fight response and your parasympathetic rest or digest mode, where you're much more relaxed. And unfortunately, your vagus nerve can lose its ability to switch back and forth into your parasympathetic mode due to factors like chronic stress. This is called vagal dysfunction, and it can put you at risk for high blood pressure and heart disease, type 2 diabetes, depression, and anxiety. Stimulating the vagus nerve can help minimize seizures, treat depression, regulate emotions, reduce blood pressure, lower heart rate, reduce inflammation, and treat headaches, and improve your heart rate variability. How does sound change matter? Well, sound affects matter by causing the molecules within a material to vibrate, essentially transferring energy through the medium as a wave. This means that when a sound is produced, it creates vibrations in the air molecules, which then propagate to our ears, allowing us to hear it. Depending on the material and its density, sound can travel at different speeds and can even be used to manipulate small particles through acoustic manipulation techniques. When sound travels through non-solids, it moves in longitudinal waves called compression waves. In matter, the medium is displaced by sound waves, causing it to oscillate at a frequency relative to the sound, and visible patterns emerge. Now, humans cannot hear sounds that fall outside the audible frequency range of 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, which are called infrasound or ultrasound, respectively, meaning very low or very high-pitched sounds, which are inaudible to the human ear. However, those frequencies are still impacting the matter of our bodies. This, of course, brings us into the sacred geometry. How sound influences matter and molecular structure is called cymatics. It's the study of visible sound vibration and shows the transformational nature of sound and matter. Sound and vibration are visualized through their effects on water and reflect to us the intangible force of water that is present within all of us. The human body is roughly 60% water. Water is a strong conductor for sound. Imagine how sound affects your inner workings and how it can assist in rearranging dissonance or disease into patterns of a natural state of coherence, as shown in these images of cymatic patterns. Music could be said to be the liquid architecture, and architecture frozen music. Think of Dr. Emoto's water crystal images and these photographs of ice crystals formed from water that were exposed to different words, pictures, or music. His research suggests that our thoughts, words, and feelings can affect the physical structure of water. Sacred geometry is the mathematics of the cosmos, refers to the belief that the geometric patterns found in nature, like spirals, circles, and triangles, reflect a deeper underlying order and divine blueprint within the universe, essentially suggesting that the structure of the cosmos can be understood through mathematical principles and geometric shapes, often interpreted as having spiritual meaning. This concept is explored by studying the repeating patterns observed in celestial bodies, nature phenomena, and even the human body, connecting them to ancient spiritual and philosophical ideas about the universe's design. So now I'm going to share with you some of the work of Eileen Day McCusick, where she really talks deeply about our energetic anatomy and how she uses sound healing, specifically through the use of tuning forks, to tune our human biofield and bring integration and healing. She says, the human energy field was revealing itself to have a certain anatomical structure to it. It seemed to hold our emotional history, the record of our life experiences, in a very organized way. It was like a very delineated storage system, but I could not deny the patterns I was observing. It was becoming clear to me that our memories, instead of being stored in the brain, or perhaps in addition to being stored in the brain, appeared to be stored in this field around the body. The areas of the field on the right and left sides of each chakra appeared to be like file drawers containing records of a specific emotion or state of mind. This is my hypothesis in a nutshell. I believe that the human biofield is a diffuse electromagnetic medium, a bioplasma, that surrounds and interpenetrates the body and stores the record of our life experiences. What we call mind and memory are actually inside this electromagnetic field. The information of everything that we've ever experienced, and even what our ancestors experienced, is encoded in a standing wave format in the body's electromagnetic field, with specific areas holding specific types of experiences. In this model, your body is inside your mind, rather than the other way around. Bouncing sound off bodies and listening to the signals that came back revealed a universal pattern that appeared in everyone. Your biofield, like your brain, is compartmentalized with different emotional experiences stored in different stratospheric locations. Emotional experiences, like memories, are stored in standing waves around the body. Different emotions have different frequency signatures, which is how I'm able to identify them. This is powerful. To one degree or another, we all have a vibrational backlog of unprocessed emotions. These old emotions become signal jammers that put us in a state of incoherence and create a feeling of stuckness. The heart of what Eileen teaches is effective emotional management. learning to dance with our emotions. When we learn to accept our emotions as a healthy and natural part of life, we enter into a fluid relationship with them, whereby we simply allow whatever emotion is arising at the moment to arise and do its thing. We let it out in some way and then we move on. Unexpressed emotions generate stress, and ultimately the state of our health comes down to how we manage stress. Our emotional response to a situation, rather than the situation itself, is what causes most stress. The solution in our current healthcare models is to give people drugs, but what we really need is to identify what's going on below the level of our symptoms. What's going on with almost every single person I've worked with is that there are unexpressed and undigested emotions in their bodies that they don't know what to do with. So think about how sound therapy and music can greatly help us with our health through the processing of emotional energy. So there's so many implications for health and healing. When vibrations come together, they start to sync up and resonate at the same frequency in a kind of spontaneous self-organization, which is described in physics as sympathetic resonance. This resonance may also form the basis of what we call consciousness or intelligence, which science is increasingly revealing to be a fundamental property of energy, and therefore all matter. Could it be that what religion calls spirit and soul, and science calls electricity, are really one and the same? What we call voltage is the force that makes electric currents move, also called the electromotive force. The higher the voltage, the stronger the current. In your body, stronger voltage means more energy running through the wires and a brighter inner light. When the amount of voltage flowing through our system drops, we have less energy available to power all the processes of our bodies. Disease and loss of vitality are the eventual results of a low voltage state. Pump up the volume, right? Because your body's literally a battery. You're full of salt water, which conducts electricity. All your cell membranes carry a charge. Every organ and system in your body has its own electromagnetic field. When our bodies have sufficient energy running through them, they fix themselves. When the flow of energy is blocked, our bodies don't have the resources necessary to repair themselves and to return to a natural energy-conserving state of homeostasis. When we return to a state of higher charge, the body's natural healing intelligence directs that energy to where it is needed. So when we change our tune about ourselves and our lives, our bodies also change. We are essentially just stewarding a collection of molecules of creation. You're not a part of nature, you are nature. When sound and light meet, your energy field is a map of your mind, and fundamentally your mind is the most powerful tool you have. Our emotions and feelings are just electromagnetic waves that naturally pass through our beings like waves in the ocean, unless we deny, suppress, or repress them. In which case they become frozen and stuck in our bodies and biomagnetic fields and create resistance and static that block the healthy flow of energy. We make our electric bodies stronger and more coherent primarily through effective emotional management. So if we want to get healthy from an electrical perspective, the first order of business is to open an inquiry into the vibrational backlog of emotions that is clogging up our circuits and blocking the natural flow of energy that keeps us healthy and vital. This is the greatest trick to having high voltage, to not judge or suppress any of your emotions, but rather to seek to manage them appropriately. It's about learning to understand and master your emotions and allow them to flow through you. All energy is electromagnetic. It's movement in our being. The fundamental truth is that you are the light you are seeking. You are already enlightened, as your biological reality is that you are a being of light, down to your DNA, your cells, and the trillions of biophotons that permeate your entire being. Even your bones, the densest part of your physical being, are piezoelectric crystalline structures that make electricity or light when they are compressed. And this light that powers you is the same light that powers the sun and the stars, the lightning and the lightning bugs, and the cosmos in its entirety. We are electromagnetic beings bathed in an electrically connected reality. Together, we are the way out of these seemingly dark times. Thank you, Eileen McCusick, for this profound research and conclusion.
You wish you could tell, but you're under a spell, and it's easier to deny. You carry the light, firefly. You carry the light, firefly.
Imagine what happens when we add movement and dance to the music. We can enhance even more so our brain function, boosting connectivity between the brain hemispheres, lowering cortisol levels and releasing endorphins, improving proprioception, the awareness of where our body is in space. We can increase our strength physically and our endurance, our muscle tone, our aerobic fitness and cardiovascular health. Dancing together builds trust. When several people are dancing or grooving together, after that we like each other more, trust each other more, and are more likely to help each other. A direct indication of how music and dance builds community, creates a cultural touchstone and community connection, a sense of belonging and safety, promoting harmony and cooperation among people. Music and dance and movement builds concentration and stamina, and partner dancing can inform us about the gender principle and bring greater awareness to one's patterns of lead and follow, also bringing us face to face with our own patterns of resistance and issues around trust, and allowing to be led or to lead, and to have full awareness of that synergetic experience. So dancing has helped me to release energy, find stress relief, work past insecurities, face my fears, experience vulnerability, exercise my brain, gain discipline, and play with my feminine energy. It does take fearlessness to follow your natural free flow of expressive energy. It is a gift to share our musical expression with others, to be seen and heard. Music, sound, and dance have a sacred relationship. Music is a divine force that humans can creatively and intentionally harness. And dancing together in groups or in partner dancing takes us to the next level. Ecstatic dance has developed in multiple ways and shown lots of benefits, as I've said already. And there are ancient root to, for example, through the Sufi whirling dervishes with the repetitive spinning movements meant to induce a state of spiritual trance and ecstasy. Or the Odissi temple dancers who play out spiritual poems and stories, use mudras with their hands where all of their body positions have meaning. And this concept of sympathetic vibration plays out in this process. Sympathetic vibration in music is a harmonic phenomenon where an object vibrates in response to an external sound wave that matches its natural frequency. Sympathetic vibration can occur through the air or through matter, even if the objects are not touching. The increase in sound resulting from sympathetic vibration is called resonance. You can see this with tuning forks. When a tuning fork is sounded and brought close to another tuning fork of the same frequency, the second fork will vibrate. If a note is played on a piano and there is a guitar nearby with a string that matches that note, the guitar string vibrates on its own. And humans resonate with each other. We strike chords in each other. In sound healing, sessions alter brainwaves, typically shifting them from a more active state to a relaxed state with slower frequencies like alpha and theta waves, sometimes even reaching delta waves associated with deep sleep, by a process called brainwave entrainment, where the brain synchronizes with the frequencies produced by the sound healing instruments. This can lead to feelings of deep relaxation, calmness, and improved well-being. The effects of music are amplified in groups of people. It's essentially an aspect of all human civilization and has the power to emotionally, morally, and culturally affect society. When people from one culture exchange music with each other, they gain valuable insight into another way of life, another way of thinking. Learning how music and social bonding are linked is especially crucial in times of conflict, when other lines of communication prove to be challenging. As a cultural right, music may aid in the promotion and protection of human rights. It can help in the healing process, dismantling walls and boundaries, inspire reconciliation, and provide education. Around the world, music is being used as a vehicle for social change and bringing communities together. Music's impact on human rights movements and its role as an agent for change is clear in the history books. Think of the freedom songs of the civil rights movement, "We Shall Overcome." These songs broke down barriers, educated people, built empathy across the divide, and had a hand in ending segregation. Music today continues to shed light on the inequalities experienced by people worldwide, and it's clear that music will never stop acting as an agent for change. Because of how strong of an influence melodies and lyrics have on society, we must be acutely aware of our current culture. And more importantly, we must be conscious of the culture we wish to build and develop via our music. Songs have the power to change the world in unexpected ways, challenging preconceived notions and shedding light on issues that have historically been ignored. These are some thoughts from Emily Dzuzinski. Sounds, bodily or otherwise, are a natural tether to ourselves and to each other. The heartbeat is an example. We talk, we listen to music together, we make music together, we have points of sonic reference in our environments. We listen to and regulate each other's beating hearts. How do we relate to sound, and how can it help us relate to and resonate with one another, within our own bodies, across space, and throughout time? There can be dissonance between our experiences, but existing within sound together can connect us more physically than we realize. When we're together, making noise at similar vibrations or of similar sentiments, we resonate. In all these ways, sound is touch from a distance, suggesting that there is a direct physical process enacted as sound reaches and permeates our bodies. As sound travels through us physically, there are some studies that suggest that we can be neurologically altered by the sounds we listen to. Experiences with sound can fundamentally alter the physical makeup of our brains, editing the frequency maps in our auditory cortex. Making sound in groups affects us. Making sound together, particularly performing music, increases our pain thresholds and helps us to endure hard times. These bodily human sounds of joy and pain are particularly important in relating with one another. Mirror neurons are cells that respond to and mimic the emotions or feelings of other humans to produce a sensation of empathy. So music, listened to together, can increase our empathy for one another. Denise Peters, a professor and researcher interested in musical empathy, writes, "Music is a compound entity born out of a confrontation with the often unnamed and ineffable traces of others in us, of life as it affects us, of individual encounters and encounters with society, culture, and nature. Sound can help us relate across time to both the past and the future. And when things resonate, not only are they amplified, but they are also prolonged. Sound is a tool to help us reach into the past, perhaps even reminding us of who we are. The emotional salience that the sound of a voice carries affects us, tapping into our mirror neurons, and we may begin to understand a new depth. Research has suggested that when we listen to stories, our brains start to synchronize, going as far as to mirror vocal patterns. Additionally, listening to stories helps promote learning through the generations. Music reflects the human condition and is a mechanism for humans to understand life. Some ideas proposed by German sociologist Hartmut Rosa on the human condition. To Rosa, resonance refers to these deep, meaningful connections we form with the world around us, characterized by a sense of engagement and responsiveness to our surroundings. These connections are inherently unpredictable and uncontrollable, involving dynamic, reciprocal relationships that allow for genuine interaction and mutual influence. Rosa posits uncontrollability as a normative ideal for those relationships, suggesting that the most profound connections arise not from domination or control, but from embracing the unpredictable, unmanageable nature of life and our interactions with it. The human experience is a dynamic dance between the resonant and the dissonant, the controllable and the uncontrollable, the objective and the subjective. Song and dance unify people, bringing people together and uniting them in a shared task with an opportunity for a transcendent community experience, as well as an individual transcendence, and creating an outlet for stored emotional energy, bringing us to a more vibrant health. It offers a place for individual expression and recognition, a place to be seen, heard, felt, and to uniquely speak your voice, and allow people to work together in harmony. It can give us an outlet for primal and shadow elements of ourselves. It can be a way to communicate to and with each other. Enslaved cultures throughout history have used music to keep their spirit alive and helps people to tolerate difficult conditions and is a sign, a symbol of our resilience. Music comes in many forms, and while there are endless variations to what we can do with sound, there are natural principles at the core. Music incorporates natural laws and physical regularities. It has been said that music is an art form governed by nature's arithmetic. Think of the fractal structure that is the basis of the sacred geometry that is part of the sound frequency. Think of music as an acoustical system governed by the physics of the universe that involves cyclical rhythm. The earth itself was the first clock, and the relationship between musical processes and nature must include the idea of cyclical rhythm. And music is subject to perception, conventions, and subjective judgments and interactions and interpretations, and that is simply part of the dynamic of music. Music and storytelling can be used as trance induction, and here Josh Shree from the Embodiment podcast talks about this, where he says that there's a musical interweaving in storytelling, and that storytelling is meant to take people into a trance space, and music is meant to take people into a trance space. So we should be open about it, because there are all kinds of things in our modern world which are designed to take us into a trance space that we are not aware of, like our phone. So storytelling and the use of music through sharing story can be a positive way for us to get into a trance state and be taken on a journey. This is one power of our podcasts. Now think of music and how trance states are often created among large numbers of people. Colin Davis, author of Transforming Darkness, a shadow work toolkit for the Red Pilled Initiate, describes in his work how music is a vehicle to access and metabolize shadow parts of ourselves. Particularly, he explores how heavy metal can can be a means to transmute and manage our darker emotions. He says, as I became more comfortable with psychological principles, I began to understand more about what this music had been doing for me. As I now understand it, extreme metal music effectively channels masculine psychic energies, especially those with a shadow tint. We might see participation in this form of music as psychic displacement, even transmutation. Through this music, the musicians and listeners are penetrating and releasing destructive shadow energies before they can reach a level of psychic toxicity. A regular feature of the concert is a spontaneous, audience-generated ritual called the mosh pit. The mosh pit is an evolution of a prior form known as slam dancing in punk rock circles. It is essentially a tribal dance where the audience members aggressively but respectfully push each other around in a circular formation, synchronized in tempo to the live music. Fans who are bruised in the pit usually see their injuries as a badge of honor. In the Mircea Eliade's 1955 book, Rites and Symbols of Initiation, he describes the characteristics of indigenous initiation rituals. I've noticed that the extreme metal concert is closely aligned. Participants put themselves into symbolic contact with the archetypal material of death, engage in a ritual dance, tattoo and pierce themselves, wear sacred clothing within a dark sacred space, and honor the gods or dark forces of nature through the onstage musical shamans. Thank you, Colin. Here's Colin Davis and his band Vile with his wife, Melissa Mari. We want to honor Melissa as she recently passed. And here's Mark Passio with the Founders, really demonstrating social activism through music and the sacred masculine principle being expressed powerfully in such a way, a ritual performance. Abracadabra. Music is a form of casting spells, and there are exoteric aspects to music as well as esoteric, deeply hidden aspects of music, things that are occulted. Universe, the one song, one truth. Words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Words are energy, and so we want to use them wisely. So there can be a harmful use of music and sound that can exploit and feed off group energy, sometimes for malevolent purposes. Mind control programming can occur through our harmonics, the lyrics, and the images of music. It can impact our physiology, our nervous system, and our emotional experience in ways that can feel or be negative or evil in how they play out. It can evoke hostile or hateful moods and impulses. Ill-intended musical programming, especially in large crowds, can influence what groups do and think. Some music can promote divisions between people instead of unifying them. So beware of unconscious listening, especially when in a suggestible brain state. Theta waves are associated with the unconscious mind. Times as when you're falling asleep or just waking up are very suggestible times. We can be programmed through lyrics and subliminals. And of course, avoid worshiping performers or making them political spokespersons. Here's an example of some more esoteric and occulted concepts and research that is related to sound and music. We can look into the controversy of the 440 versus 432 hertz in the tuning of music. Rockefeller allegedly wanted that universal standard changed to 440 hertz. We have to ask why. And what is the impact on the human mind or our voltage of listening to these Billboard chart hits over and over mindlessly in the background while we're at work or walking through a store? We can connect sound therapy with healing therapy such as the Rife machine, this technology that is based on sound and light used for the purpose of controlling microorganisms or pathogens. And it's based on the premise that all living matter vibrates to a specific frequency. And it is known that there is another major occurrence in the body when a specific pathogen resonates with a specific frequency. When the matching resonance of the pathogen and the emanating frequency occurs, the life force of the pathogen is immobilized or devitalized, and what we then have is killed off. So that could lead to a detoxification. Dr. Group, DC, in this video, Dark Science, The Shocking Truth About Gene Editing, shares some more information to back up the Rife technology. Here's another sound therapist, Aileen Thompson, out of the UK, which draws some correlation between well-known diseases and typical sound patterns, where certain musical notes can actually have a healing effect on certain specific medical conditions. And it brings into question, like, even what are vitamins? They're organic material, but are they also frequencies of light and sound? So there's so many rabbit holes we can go down. And here's another good example from the Monroe Institute in the study of hemisync sound technology and the gateway experience. Think of the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin. It tells the story of a mysterious, colorful stranger who uses his magical pipe to lure away a plague of rats from the town of Hamelin. But when the townspeople refuse to pay him as promised, he retaliates by using the same power to lead the town's children away, never to be seen again. Serving as a cautionary tale, music can be used for good or for evil. Energy medicine is ancient wisdom. We are energy, frequency, and vibration. When vibrations come together, they start to sync up and resonate at the same frequency in a kind of spontaneous self-organization. This brings us to the concepts of animism, where our ancestors recognized that there is spirit in all things, and the concept of anima mundi, or spiritual essence. Everything has energy, frequency, and vibration, and these principles operate through all things throughout time. There are lots of reflections and correspondences. The cosmos as a whole may be considered to be alive and thus have a mind or soul, the world soul, a position advanced by Plato. Moreover, the cosmic mind or soul was often thought to be divine, most notably by the Stoics. Hence, it was sometimes inferred that the human mind or soul was divine in nature as well. The analogy of the human mind or soul as divine is applied also to human physiology. For example, the cosmological functions of the 7 classical planets were sometimes taken to be analogous to the physiological functions of the human organs, the heart, the spleen, the liver, the stomach, etc. This view is ancient and may be found in many philosophical systems worldwide, including Chinese medicine, where in Chinese medicine each organ has a sound, and by chanting this healing sound, we can help tone and bring optimal functioning to our organs. Pythagoras theorized that the entire universe could be better understood through the combined interpretation of musical harmonies and simple mathematical ratios. For many centuries, right up until the early modern period, musical harmony was considered to be an important contribution to scientific understanding and one of the primary languages of the universe, often working in concurrence with astronomy. For example, astronomers of the 16th and 17th centuries, such as Johannes Kepler, were of the belief that the motions of the planets produced a cosmic harmony of sorts. Pythagoras believed that the planets, stars, and other celestial bodies produce a harmonious sound known as the music of the spheres. He believed that the universe was a giant musical instrument and that the quality of life on Earth was affected by the sounds of the cosmos. And here, a writing by Richard Heath, a developmental engineer with degrees in systems science and computer-aided design, really brings some validation to this ancient theory in an article called The Harmonic Origins of the Human World. The ancient world civilizations had a singular body of knowledge, allowing them to know the astronomical context of the earth. A fusion of myth, sacred numbers, geometry, and musical intervals seem to have been the language used to express it. And through understanding the world in the traditional way, now as then, one is in contact with the higher intelligence which created the harmonious earth. The study of ancient number sciences is therefore an opportunity for individuals to see the higher worlds. We are sacred, a divine mirroring of the cosmos, built according to a universal template, following natural laws, visible and discoverable through deep analysis and observation. And as such, the answers to our deepest problems are also discoverable through a study of the mathematical and musical principles inherent in life and existence itself. From Eileen McCusick, she says, in truth, what we really want to be doing is descending, occupying our miraculous and amazing bodies, drawing energy into ourselves from the earth, really committing to being where we are here and now. We need to strengthen and to be present in our lower energy centers, not just the higher ones. And from a sound healing perspective, what we want is to clarify and cohere and tune our vibrations. Sound, as you'll discover, is an invaluable tool in this work. Singing, humming, chanting, repeating affirmations, mantras, toning, listening to music. I have often observed a disconnect in our understanding of sound and the electromagnetic body. As you will learn, there's really no separating sound from electricity. Light and sound are both just waves vibrating at different frequencies. Everything is electric, including your body, and sound directly influences electricity. Sound is nothing more than vibration. It's all part of the electromagnetic spectrum, vibrating at different rates or frequencies. Vibrations affect vibrations. So music is clearly a creative tool to create a freer world, a means for us to explore our material and spiritual nature and where they meet. An infinite space to explore the nature of our world and the role we play in creating it. A profound avenue for healing. An avenue to build communities and amplify our sound together. Music is a powerful tool for personal development through creative expression, building confidence, finding your voice, encouraging sharing. And music is a way to bond with each other. Music can promote harmony, collaboration, improvisation, and community bonding. If we work with music consciously, we can intentionally set the tone for creation and be actors on a stage that we choose. If we interact with music unconsciously, we can run the risk of others setting our emotional and mental stage. We can be as organized and directed as an orchestra, composing and reading our music. Or we can be free-flowing and creative through improvisation. Improvisation ignites a synergy among multiple people, each adding their individual part, voluntarily offering their unique contribution and creating something new, something more with each other. So let's do it. This brief overview on the value and complexity of music brings us back to the beginning. Who are we? What are we made of? Where do we come from? How are we connected to each other and to the cosmos? This topic clearly holds mysteries beyond what is taught in school or church, and yet it is apparent that music affects our whole being. Music alters our physical, mental, and spiritual energy. It impacts our health. It interacts with light and color frequency and with all of the elements. The depth of the power of music is at our fingertips and has the potential to alter our future. It has untapped power, and this power is clearly connected to the metabolism of emotion and the unblocking of stagnancy and blockages in our emotional life. Music is used on us every day. How conscious are you of its effects on you? How intentional is your relationship with music in your everyday life? Music is interwoven in our history, in our ancestry, in our DNA. It is shaping our present-day culture, and it will clearly have a powerful influence on human life from here forward. The mystery of its unique potential reminds us that we are spiritual beings with an equal mystery and potential. Music reminds us that we are intertwined with the Creator and we have the power to create. And I'll share my personal takeaways in a short video. Personal takeaways. First, recognize that spirit takes residence in your body. Our body and mind are interconnected and essentially are one. The majority of disease begins as an emotional event. Emotions are stored in and around the body as magnetic fields. Music is a positive tool that can assist in emotional healing through memory integration, emotional regulation, facilitation of purging or detox, stilling or activating the mind, and achieving peak states. Realize that you have the inner resources to work through whatever challenges you're facing in life. You have resilience. You have adaptability. You have clarity. Eileen Makusik. So become aware of the effects of music on your mind, body, spirit system. Experiment with sound and movement. Be intentional and conscious. Join others in playing with sound and music. Create harmoniously. Experiment with dissonance. Recognize that you are a sacred reflection of the laws of the universe. Learn the laws and approach the music you play intentionally, as perhaps a shaman would. Spend time in silence and in listening only to nature sounds, and contemplate your inner connection with nature. Create personalized playlists, incorporate music into your daily rituals, explore different music genres, attend live music events, use music as a form of self-care, express yourself through music. And engage your body as you listen, dance, and sing. Through the study of sound, and particularly music, we can more deeply understand the laws of the universe, know ourselves, and more deeply embody the concept of harmony in daily living. You are the magus, the magician, and music is one of your tools for conscious transformation. Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I dedicate this to the memory of my father, George Brooks Losinger, Jr.
If we believe we carry the gift of joy and bliss, would we